gender equality, but most importantly, she's a mother engaged in the journey to find the best education to meet the needs of her daughter. Her name is Meredith Harper-Houston. The first time I spoke with her, I was just absolutely captivated by her story, and I think you will be too. Meredith, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I was going to say welcome myself. Thank you for having me. I'm
Of course.
really excited to be here.
Well,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you calling in. We really do. And like I said, you know this, the first time you and I spoke, your story, your journey just absolutely captivated me. Now, normally, what I do on the show, Meredith, is I start with a few questions to help my listeners get to know my guest. But A, much of the story that you're here to tell us about today is about your daughter, Dove. And B, your background is pretty fascinating as well. So we're going to get all into that a little bit later on. Let's start with your daughter, Meredith. Every child is unique. Every parent's child is unique with their own learning styles and needs, as I mentioned in our show intro. So before we get into the educational journey you're on, can you tell me about your daughter, Dove?
Oh, Dove is, she's extraordinary. I think all parents think their child is extraordinary, but she is a 12-year-old, sparkling, still very inquisitive and curious kid. She's a talented animator, illustrator. She creates characters, her OCs, original characters, and she knows what she wants to do, and she knows what she wants to be, and she really knew that from day one. It was really cute. When she was about, I'd say 2 years old, every book that she had, she would start drawing her own characters into them and changing the story. And, people would be like, you let her just write in the books and I'm like, yeah, they're her books. And it was really cute. And so you could go back and see all her little, books from her board books and how she changed the ending or added in new characters. But she's always been very creative and always been a deep dive learner. She goes on deep dives and likes to know that, is very inquisitive and will find out whatever she wants to know. She'll research. She's very kind. She has a very big heart, very kind heart, and I think every parent that I know, just even when they're children, when they're little babies, you just don't ever envision them getting into school, middle school, how they'll react to the world, how the world will react to them. And I'm pretty proud of her. She's very kind and has a big heart, and treats everyone with open heart, goodwill. It's pretty awesome to watch at this age of 12 because everybody keeps telling me to watch out. The 15 years are coming.
Yeah, no, don't let them curse you that way. Two amazing traits, to be kind and inquisitive. That's a phenomenal combination. So, as I mentioned, I want to talk about your educational journey with Dove. I believe early on you enrolled her at iLead Exploration. Is that right?
Right, yes.
Okay.
We took her out of a really popular private school. People fight to get into this private school in the Valley. Mm-hmm. And it appeared very quickly that, one, I didn't really understand the learning model and how it was what was the approach and the philosophy. When we enrolled her, we were told that it was a project learning and progressive, but it was very, very traditional.
Okay.
It didn't seem to make sense, but also there was a lot of bullying happening, and the school didn't really know how to, or they didn't seem to. I wouldn't say know how to. I would say they did not want to diffuse it.
Okay.
It was more like kids are kids, and I don't know what you expect us to do. We can't help what happens at home. But one thing that Dove is that she does advocate for herself.
Okay,
so
good.
when she was being bullied, she would challenge the kids right back.
Okay.
And if a kid I remember there was an incident where someone threw something at her, and she threw it back.
Okay.
And the teacher reported, well, someone threw something at Dove, and she threw it back. And I'm like, well, what is she supposed to do?
Yeah.
We have to figure out how to advocate for ourselves at some point, but I don't want her to be in an environment where anything's being thrown at her.
Sure. Sure.
And it's okay, to get being an educator myself, I'm more interested in how we got there.
Right.
Children are children. So how did it escalate to a level with adults around that they're throwing things at each other?
Sure.
So that was about first grade. So we got to iLead, and I was thinking we were trying to enroll her in another school that we thought was a little bit more gentle and had a better approach by reputation with the social emotional learning aspect with children. And she was in first grade. So but then there was a long wait list, and I didn't know what to do. And I decided, you know what, let me homeschool. I had a couple of friends who were homeschooling their children, but all over the country. And one was moving abroad to Switzerland.
Okay.
And he was adamant. He was like, I really think you should look at the homeschooling.
Okay, so you mentioned homeschooling, and iLead Exploration is our independent study program, what most folks consider home study or homeschool. For our listeners who aren't as familiar, can you explain kind of what iLead Exploration is all about? How does that work so you pulled your child out of this prestigious private school, you enrolled her at iLead Exploration. What is the educational model? What does it look like?
Well, what was really interesting was that one, she couldn't get into this. We were waiting on this wait list, and we were set up, and then COVID happened. So we were already set up with iLead, and then everybody was jumping into Zoom school, and we were like, oh no, why would we go into another private school just to pay for Zoom? But we were quickly lovingly embraced by iLead. I did not understand it at all. I was completely confused at what to do and how it worked. But we had a teacher, a main focused teacher that we work with that helps us design a customized educational plan for Dove. So, understanding where she is, academically at the time at first grade, what she knows, what she's, already worked on. And those are very, basic first grade, where markers, right? Because still only up to kindergarten.
Sure.
So, but we're able to offer suggestions on different curriculums. And okay, so here is this math kind of curriculum. What kind of learner is she? Is she tactile? Does she like to use her hands? So we, our teacher was his name was Taylor, was really awesome, introducing different and I was astounded because I didn't know that there were so many different educational models, but it wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't like so much that it was overwhelming. It was so intriguing to say, oh, well, she's this kind of learner. Oh, she's really physical. She really is a visual learner. This might be really good for her. Using manipulative and sorting will probably be really good for her in math, and then with language arts, and so we were like every student is allotted a certain amount of funds by the state. So by the funds that would be allocated, like a child in public school, every head is the same. I think, what is it, like $3,600 or? I don't remember what it was at the time.
Sure,
it was
yeah.
Like $3,600 or $3,400.
And it fluctuates. It's about that each year. Yeah. Parents do get funds.
Around that. About funds. And you're able to allocate and really kind of disperse each curriculum or, from your main electives, your main curriculum and then electives and physical education, you custom design a educational plan. So you're able to, per semester, first term and second term, split those funds and, like I said, basically look at whatever the model you want and what is the pricing for, say this class or this class. And in fact, I believe iLead paid for her surf lessons during COVID.
Right, as part of her physical education, yeah.
Yeah, it was part of her education plan, and he was a vendor already to teach surf lessons through iLead. And so it was just so amazing, that she was able to really succeed.
Yeah.
Because there was no pressure of other students around her. She wasn't caught. She was able to excel at what she was able to, that her proficiencies and her deficiencies were addressed as well, because she wasn't left behind. She didn't know that that math wasn't her strongest subject, and that she wasn't struggling. She was working at her own pace, and there was no testing with other students and pressure. It was just her customized educational plan and how she rocked and rolled with it. So we found by the time after first and second grade, she was at a very high advanced reading level, and by virtue of noticing that she needed support in other areas, she was a little behind by level in math, but like an 8th grade reading level. It was like crazy.
Oh, wow.
And only going into the 3rd grade. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Meredith, I know that the journey didn't end there, obviously, and
No.
you made some other moves. We do need to take a quick commercial break, but we're going to get all into that when we come back.
Sure.
Meredith, we're living in a beautiful period of time where parents are free to choose the school that's right for their child. And you found a model in iLead Exploration that you were not only able to choose the right school for your child, but the right curriculum for every single subject, and it's an important choice. So thank you so much for sharing. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Dove's journey, and I want to talk a little bit about what you do as well, because I find that fascinating. We'll be right back. I'm Matt Watson. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. You're listening to your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back, and happy Friday. Happy Friday morning. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I'm joined this morning by Meredith Harper-Houston, a mother on the continuous journey of advocacy for her daughter's educational rights. But her daughter isn't the only one, the only young person that Meredith advocates for. We'll get into that in just a moment. Meredith, before the break, we were talking about how you first enrolled early on. You enrolled your daughter Dove in a private school, a pretty prestigious private school in the San Fernando Valley, and early on started having some issues with bullying and the school not responding to your daughter's needs. You chose to move her to iLead Exploration, which, if you're just tuning in, iLead Exploration is kind of iLead's take on home study or homeschool. And Meredith, you explained how your facilitator, your credentialed teacher, set you up with the perfect curriculum for your daughter. You were able to choose English language arts, math, science, social studies, but also physical education and all the different subject materials and courses that she needed to take. 100% customized learning path for your child. And I believe Dove attended iLead Exploration for a couple of years, and then you switched schools again. Is that right? Can you tell us about that?
Yes, we switched schools because I felt that, now we were going into, her 3rd year, and it had been 2 years of online learning, and there was 2 years of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that she lacked the socialization. Well, she was yearning for socialization.
Okay.
And that is what homeschool when I was a little kid looked like, Little House on the Prairie in my mind. And when I started the homeschool network and really getting into homeschool LA, and there's a really great, foundational networks of the homeschoolers that homeschool for all various different reasons in this county. We were, jamming with all these activities and group trips, and then COVID. So the model of what we started with wasn't with during COVID. However, it was far better, that I would say, than having her go online for 2 years. But she really wanted to be around other kids. She's super social, and I just felt this is a good time for her to get back into school. And it was not a great experience. And I think one of the things that you've mentioned, the word that you said that is so important, is credentialed. Credentialed
interesting.
teachers at iLead. So we put her back into a public school, and they are credentialed, but her teacher was her first year teaching. She was a TA, a teacher's assistant, and it was her first year as a teacher, 3rd grade.
I see.
And she was overwhelmed with a class size of 38 kids.
Oh, my God. 38 in 3rd grade.
38
Oh,
kids.
wow.
And yeah, and then she was only 23.
Uh-huh.
And she had a teacher's assistant, and she was really, it was her first year. Sometimes
Sure.
having a really young teacher is great, because they have great and innovative ideas. But I think coming out of a pandemic, it was very overwhelming for her. And at that time, we started noticing as well that Dove was exhibiting, having a hard time in certain subjects, mainly math. We
Okay.
did an IEP assessment and found that she has an auditory processing delay. So she would need support in this area. But the class that we only did third grade there because it was so overwhelming for her, we decided to do her start her 504 plan, and we're going to start her IEP assessment at another school.
Okay.
So we switched it to a very very small class size.
Good.
And they have a very, very not familiar, but they supported IEPs, and that the private schools don't have the obligation to adhere to I guess federal laws with disabilities. So they don't really have to adhere to an IEP, but the school really assured us that sure, you can carry out the the testing here, whatever the accommodations or that would suggest that we support. And she did very well, 4th, 5th grade. But then moving into middle school with about 6 different teachers, it was a struggle. And then to find out that again, we're at a very small private school, only one of her teachers was credentialed.
Oh.
So they didn't really know how to support. At first, I was like, we don't have to adhere to it. It was like, well, wait a minute. We did all of our assessments here. So, it was based, all of the accommodations that were presented and suggested came from her 5th grade teacher. Now, moving into middle school, they didn't know how to support her. So she went from one teacher and was giving her lots of support. She had a 4.0, and then moving into middle school, her grade point average quickly dipped and dived, and there was a lot of kickback from a few of her teachers about adhering to the 504 plan. And, but with her accommodations, making sure that because, again, with an auditory processing delay, she's going to need reinforcements, more visuals, more lesson plans, and visual lesson plans. She was needed to be in the quiet space to take tests, needed to be at the front of the classroom, and some teachers would forget or, forget this, and it was just more of we don't have to because we're a private school, but we don't have to. And so it was so frustrating. I just, honestly, Matt, I just got tired of fighting, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I know where she flourished. I know where she was happier than a clam in mud, and she was advancing. And now it's going to look different because it's not COVID. And being able to, get back into the swing of things with meetups and activities with iLead, I reached out and I found out it was full.
Yeah, so that's where you and I met. Is you made a decision?
I was like, no.
Yeah, you made the decision to move Dove back to iLead here, kind of mid-spring. And that's when you and I connected via email, and we jumped on the phone to talk about things because you were kind of to rephrase what you had said, kind of fed up with her middle school experience, needed to move her back where you knew that she would flourish. And I gave you some pretty bad news, didn't I?
Yes, that iLead has become so popular that it was a wait list, and it was wasn't impossible, but it was pretty. What was it, March? At the end of March?
Yeah, it was end of March. We were going to close enrollment soon.
At the end of the year.
Yeah, and quite a long wait list, and we could see the writing on the wall that you weren't going to be able to get Dove in midstream, kind of middle of the second semester. And so, what did you do instead?
We ended up doing iLead online, which I wasn't familiar with at all, and I really didn't understand how it worked at all. But she started and loves iLead online, so it's online school with her sixth grade teacher, and they have campfires every day. Well, 4 days except for a Friday.
So tell us about campfires. What do you mean? She's in an online school and starting fires and things like that?
No. It's a yeah. They meet up. Well, they have a sorry. They have a class, like a meet up. But her sixth grade class has a hour long session or class with her sixth grade teacher, really going over the model of the where they are for
Yeah.
the week. In discussing the different subjects and where they are and their academics, moving through their curriculum. It's a little bit different from that everything's online. I
Right.
mean, a little different from exploration. So all of her classes are online, but she's able to take them at her own pace. We're able to schedule all of her subjects around her cool schedule. So now I feel like I have I call her my client. I'm like, my client, I've got to get her to art class. So now she's able to do art classes in the middle of the day.
Mm.
She's able to, attend special art events and really focus on her talent and her passion for illustration and animation. And she takes her, some classes early in the morning and some classes later in the afternoon. And so, just really fitting them customizable around her life. I mean, this is really cool. I truly wish I was taught this way. I really wish all children were taught this way, with the freedom to, the one thing that I always want to talk to them about, like with homeschool, is it's home, so there's no homework. It's not 8 hours or 6 hours of school all day and then 4 to 5 hours of homework with you. And I'm like, do you realize that you're actually homeschooling when you're spending 4 hours of helping your child navigate through their homework? I truly believe that whatever was learned in the lesson plan at school should be, taught proficiently so that there's a reinforcement. Well, I think that as children, they should be able to come home and decompress and now, fit into what they love. And if you're a great teacher, they're absorbing it.
Yeah.
They don't need, 4 to 5 hours of exhaustive homework, which was happening to her. I could see her spirit diminishing, her thinking that she's bad at this and bad at that and bad at this and that, and of course still, the bullying issue, inappropriate, conversations and behaviors that really weren't, being nipped in the bud by staff and faculty. I was just like, this, parents, it doesn't have to be this hard. And I think it's hard to step out the box and sometimes see things differently from what you were taught is education. But the thing is there's no box.
Yes.
Like to say step out the box, there's no box.
Yeah.
It doesn't even exist. There are opportunities to look at spaces and spaces like iLead. That I think iLead is 8 different school models, and you can, really find exploration is unbelievable. How she learned in exploration, which we are going to do again next year. So we did online because it was available to us. Thank God. And we were so happy to get in, and she gets to go online. Meet with a teacher or meet with a teacher live every day. But then also her subjects, the math, the language arts, the lesson plan is already pre-recorded with the teacher, and then there's the assignment, and then she goes and does the assignment, and it's done and submitted. And then she can go on and live. And she loves, here's what's really funny, she's obsessed with Japan and learning Japanese culture. And she started teaching herself Japanese.
Oh, nice.
At her school, one of her teachers took away her Japanese dictionary and said, we're not learning that here. And when I went on to iLead online, when we first got the opportunity, Matt, saw that there's Japanese class.
Yeah.
And so she's now able to take, from just 2 months ago, someone's teacher stole her. It took her book away from her. Now she's able to explore and flourish in the subjects that she has a fascination for. There's no limit. There's no ceiling. There's no discouragement. There's no bullying. There's it's just all, I feel, the model of how a child should learn.
Yeah.
Tailored to how they learn.
Absolutely. And that is the idea behind all of our schools is we want to make sure that we've got a school model that we can tailor to every individual learner. It's funny, I tell my friends and they say, "Well, yeah, I get it. You can, you can do hybrid or you can." No, no, no. You don't understand. Every individual child gets to construct their own learning path. Now, Meredith, I do want to go back and hit on something that you've touched on a couple times that a lot of families stress about. They know that their child struggles with that or needs something different, but they're worried about homeschooling. They may be worried about an online school because of the lack of socialization. And you touched on that. Having experienced our home study program in iLead Exploration and our online program with iLead Online, are you seeing any opportunities for your daughter to interact with kids her age, interact socially or even academically? Does she have the opportunity to exchange and interact with kids her age?
Yes. So she, iLead, they have once a month, I believe once a month, there's her class has a meetup.
Okay.
And then there's an opportunity to meet up with, to connect with the other parents
Oh,
and create, little pods if you want, or little, group activities. At this age, I don't know if you would call them play dates. They're 12, but, social, events to read books together, to learn together, and to do little deep dives together. There's the freedom to connect outside. And then also there's school activities. There was just a zoo visit, and then there was just on Tuesday, an Underwood Farms visit.
mm-hmm.
And one of the things I really love is that you don't really have to do things. You don't have to do everything the way you were taught, because the world is changing. And as a parent, if you were a parent, obviously from the time that you were a child to right now, with technology, there's so many ways to connect. So she's able, there's so many different opportunities as a homeschool parent, not with just iLead, but in this county on Facebook, you'll find like Homeschool LA, and they have so many different support for teens,
Yeah.
for different cultures, for different interests. But with iLead, they offer a lot of activities and opportunities to meet up. And then also in exploration, you can also, there's learning centers,
Mm-hmm.
that you can
Yeah.
attend. We did Realm in Santa Monica. We did a couple, there's a couple that, that they can still get the classroom experience. And then I haven't visited the Orange County iLead. What is that, Matt? Where there's a learning center as well?
We call it our OC studio, our Orange County studio. We actually have a couple of studios that are campuses that are run by our
Campus.
teachers, and in exchange for some of those educational funds that you're allocated, kids can attend, depending on which studio they choose, 2 to 4 days a week of on campus where we kind of support what it is that you're doing at home, and it
Yeah,
gives that
we're really
opportunity
excited
for
about
them
that.
to be in
Hmm.
class kind of in a hybrid model. So yeah, it's an amazing
But
option. Go ahead.
But I was going to say, what's really cool is that, so, I took her out of the private school. She's back in iLead, and what we were using for tuition, we're using for art classes. So
Oh,
she's in art class almost every single day.
oh,
She's in
fantastic.
fashion illustration she's on cartooning on Tuesday, fashion illustration on Wednesday, she's piano on Thursday.
Mm.
So it's like, okay, so, since the online is free, it's free, and we're, now we have a budget of what we were spending on private school for outside her interest, and actually not even as much as what her tuition was. So it's like really awesome. And the great thing too is that when we get back into exploration, she probably won't even need to do, that many classes. But I really wanted her to be out and about and meet other students.
Yeah.
And in her interest, so she's like really meeting her tribe now, other
Mm.
kids who are on the track, who know or who have a strong interest and focus in art and illustration and animation and anime. So she's meeting her tribe.
I'm so glad to
It's
hear it.
awesome.
I'm glad that it's going well. Like I said, I was a little bit nervous because I know how much you and Dove loved iLead Exploration, and not being able to get you in this late in the school year. I was worried that iLead Online wouldn't work out for you. I'm glad to hear that it's going well. I'm glad to hear that Dove is back on track and flourishing and going to move back from iLead Online to iLead Exploration next year.
Yeah,
Meredith, we're going to take a
yeah.
quick commercial break, but when we get back, I want to talk a little bit about what you do for a living, because you're doing some pretty amazing things on your own. We'll talk about that when we get back. I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. Meredith Harper-Houston joins me this morning. She's a mother who just finished telling us the amazing story of her daughter Dove and the emotional journey that they've been on, and they have found the home where Dove can flourish at iLead Exploration as well as iLead Online. If you missed it, you need to catch us on the podcast. It's a beautiful story. Why two schools? Go back to the podcast on your hometownstation.com. Hometownstation.com. You can podcast it and hear the whole story. But Meredith, I want to get into your story a little bit. Thank you so much for sharing about Dove, but you've got a pretty amazing story to tell as well. Tell our listeners about yourself and what you do for a living.
Oh well, I'm like to say I'm still in mom mode. I was like, let me switch gears. It's kids first, but no, I am a faith-based wellness leader. I use the healing arts for therapy, therapeutic, and for trauma-informed therapeutic arts, and mainly ballet. So I started a organization almost 10 years ago called nonprofit called Swan Within, Healing Through Ballet, and it started as a program. Our pilot program was taught at Central Juvenile Hall here in LA County, and focusing on, again, using ballet to create dominion and agency over the body, because at the time, the youth that were in our program, or that were in my program, the majority were adjudicated for sex trafficking. I really couldn't understand how they were juveniles, 14 to 18, in juvenile detention centers and arrested or awaiting trial for or placement from being, sexual, being
trafficked.
So I said, well, there's no such thing as a child prostitute. It doesn't even make sense to me. And that was not so long ago. It was almost 10 years ago. In that time, laws have changed.
Okay.
The problem hasn't exactly gotten better. It's a huge problem. But we have found a tool to give kids who are now who are incarcerated a place where they can feel seen and feel understood, and feel beautiful, and feel adored, and challenged, and feel their body. Ballet, as anyone who's ever studied ballet knows, that there's probably nothing harder. And I'm truthfully, it is very hard on the body in terms of the amount of, it takes every muscle to align and to find balance. And, the prettier, my teachers used to tell me as a kid, the pretty hurts. So the prettier it looks, the more it takes for the physical control to do it. So to learn, if your body has been abused, and the body has not been used for its optimal level, seeing how strong they are, and seeing how beautiful and they are, and finding talent in reservoirs that they didn't know existed, has been wonderful.
Meredith, where did this idea come from?
For me to watch.
Where did this idea come from? Because you don't just wake up in the morning and say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to teach ballet to incarcerated youth. Where did you come up with this?
I was a dancer my whole life.
Okay.
And I struggled with abuse as a child in my own home. And it was my, dance. I was out of the house. I loved dance, and I was told my dad when I was 8 years old, I was like, I'm going to go to school for ballet, college. And I said, I was going to go again. He's like, you were going to do again? I said, I was going to do 8 years of ballet. And he just thought that was so funny. But I just always wanted to be a dancer. I knew very early on that I wanted to be a dancer. And it was my way of getting out of the house physically to be safe and to find a place that was soothing and home for me. And I wanted to be able to offer that to kids as well. And I really went on a journey looking for a place to serve. I had opened a dance studio in Playa Vista at the time, where I lived, and I was so focused on giving same opportunity to kids that could love it. It would mean the world to them that this could change their life as it did mine, because I don't know where I would be if I didn't have dance. So I wanted to give that same opportunity. Well, it grew and grew from just me running into juvenile hall with tutus and slippers to actually creating a curriculum, creating a mission and a vision, partnering with UCLA, doing academic reviews of its evidence of
its
how
effectiveness,
it heals and how it. And so then we moved on to voice. And so I started working with athletes. I started training athletes and professional athletes in ballet. And then the county asked if we could do that for incarcerated men, 18 to 25, which is SYTF, youth, secure youth transitional facilities. So for 18 to 25-year-olds and below, so we work with kids that are 14 to 25. The state sees that age group as still as juveniles. So work with men as well in our sports performance program that infuses ballet methods, modified ballet for sports, for cross training. So, and again, it's therapeutic, trauma informed. Learning how to using sports or using ballet as a methodology for approach for life. That it takes hard work, it takes discipline. You need to learn how to fail to appreciate the wins. And every time every time I'm there with kids, it never fails. I'm always so grateful for the opportunity and for the the county's trust in us to do what we do.
What an amazing mission. And we've only got about a minute left, but I wanted to give you a second to talk about it. I understand you're writing a book as well. Is that true?
Yes. Oh, and I should definitely tell people, go to our website, Swan Within. It's swanwithin.org, SWANWITHIN.org, to learn more about us. But I am in the middle, by the fall, it will be released in September. It's called The Swan Within. It's a memoir of the most beautiful thing of taking my body back. So it's teaching working through the tenets of our program, what the work is, the 12 tenets of our program, and how you apply them and use them every day in your life. So it has, lesson plan, a little bit of our lesson plans, some prayers, some affirmations, some questions that, work activities, everything that we pretty much do is kind of wrapped up in this book, but really a story about how it came about and the youth that have passed in and along the way and who have, helped build this, because every day it's modified to new kids that we meet that need,
Meredith, I do need to cut you off. We're up against a hard break. We need to go to commercial. But again, it's swanwithin.com?
.org.
Swanwithin.org. Meredith, thank you so much for sharing with us. I wish you and Dove all the best luck. Please keep in touch. I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. Next up on Eye on the Valley, we've got Pam Ripling. She is board secretary of the Santa Clarita Single Mothers Outreach. Over time, Pam Ripling has held many titles, but her favorite is that of nonprofit advocate. From room mom, den leader, and hockey team mom to nonprofit board chair and executive director, Pam's life has been a series of service opportunities. She is the recipient of Zonta's Woman in Service Cameron Sorrow Award. Her path has taken her through the SCVi cancer community, local Santa Clarita education concerns, and most recently, to Single Mothers Outreach. In her professional life, Pam provides trust accounting services to the escrow and title business, opening Valdeta Services in 1989. Pam is also a published author in the fiction genre and enjoys reading and writing mysteries of all kinds. She and her husband, Michael, enjoy traveling, rooting for the LA Kings, go, and watching their grandkids grow. Pam, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Thank you, Matt. I'm happy to be here.
So glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. So you kind of toured around the nonprofit world quite extensively, and I know your day job, as it were, keeps you quite busy. So tell us what brought you to want to work with the Single Mothers Outreach.
Well, Matt, I was on a break from nonprofit, and my son went through a divorce and ended up being a single dad.
Okay.
And watching him firsthand, struggling to raise two children on his own was eye-opening, to say the least. I was already familiar with the nonprofit because through my travels, as mentioned, through my travels through the nonprofit world, I was already friends with and familiar with the individuals at Single Mothers Outreach.
Okay.
And we were talking, and they said, we'd love to have you with your expertise from your background and your mission focus that you have right now.
Okay. I truly believe there's a special place in heaven set aside for single mothers. For several years, my brother and I raised by a single mom. And so it's, in my heart, for me, it seems like, an obvious sort of no-brainer. But can you tell our listeners who might not be aware, what's the mission of Single Mothers Outreach? What does the organization do?
Well, the technical mission is that we empower single parents and their children by providing hope and resources and support so that they can become self-sustaining and actually thrive. So that's the what, why, and how.
Okay.
But the details basically are that we reach out to or receive referrals to individuals who are struggling as single parents. The most obvious thing you think of is the fact that there's only one income, if there's an income at all.
Yeah.
But there's also this huge elephant in the room, and that is how do you raise children alone? That you're both mom and dad. Mm-hmm. You are teacher and caregiver, and all the while your own needs are going unsolved. Your own needs are unresolved. Right. You don't get the care that you would if you had the time as a two-parent family to take care of yourself. So what we do is we provide the resources to bring these individuals, and I want to stop right here and say dads are included.
So I wanted to ask that, and I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, dads are included. We are celebrating our 30th year, so 30 years ago, our founder did name the organization Single Mothers Outreach, and we've stayed with it.
Okay.
But we do help dads. Not as many. Dads don't seem to come forward as easily.
Guys don't reach out for help like women do.
They don't reach out for help. They also don't talk to their friends about their problems.
Right.
Women have their confidences with each other, and a woman will say, hey, have you reached out to Single Mothers Outreach? They can help you. A dad isn't going to say to another dad, yeah, I really need help, man.
Right.
It just doesn't happen. So we invite them to our organization. We interview them. We provide counseling for them. We identify their top needs.
Okay.
And then we turn around and through counseling we provide options to solve their problems, or to at least put them on a path to solve their own problems.
Okay.
We also provide a lot of resources like diapers and formula and car seats and things that they have no access to.
Yeah. Yeah, that is wonderful. And like I said, I was going to ask, you said parents a couple times. So glad to hear that you're serving dads. I was a single dad for several years, and it is tough. Being a single parent is quite a challenge. You don't have somebody to kind of tag in, as it were. That's I'm sick, and I need you to deal with this one, or you bring a different perspective, or even just the that support of, gosh, can you help me out? Give me some ideas. I remember as a single dad, fortunately, I did have a strong network, and so when I was kind of at my wit's end, I would do the whole, okay, Go to your room. Let's get some space. And I would pick up the phone and call my friends and say, "Oh my gosh, you'll never believe what he did now. What do I do?"
Right.
And so to have that support network, just that, it can be a game changer.
It absolutely is. We do have support groups in general as well. And another thing that I didn't mention is we have workshops and classes for the parents to
Oh,
come in and
great.
take. So these range from financial literacy to how to prepare a resume,
Okay.
and then things that you might not expect, but something like how to identify narcissism in a relationship.
Oh, okay. So dealing with relationship issues as well.
Right.
Okay.
Because we don't want
Interesting.
people to repeat their problems.
Right.
And if they're in a loop where they're constantly meeting the wrong people, or because of their own issues, they're unable to identify when they're being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
A lot of our moms come to us from domestic violence situations, and that's a tough one. We don't provide that kind of counseling. So here's where I tell you that we collaborate with other nonprofits in our valley. I know you're familiar with Child and Family Center.
Of course, yeah.
So for some of the deeper mental health issues, we will send people over there. Sam Dixon is another one that we
Good.
partner with quite often.
Yeah. Yeah, that is fantastic. So I know you joined the team not 30 years ago when they were
Right.
founded, but came aboard along the way. But can you tell our listeners how Single Mothers Outreach has grown over the years? You mentioned you've grown to now serve single fathers as well. But how many moms and dads are we talking about, and how has the organization grown?
Well, first of all, we did start in 1995, and it was one of those nonprofits that started in someone's home. Our founder was Debbie Quick. She was a single mom. She came here from the Valley. She needed help with her 11-year-old son. She couldn't work and get care for him at the same time. It was very difficult. We don't even make as much money these days as it costs to take care of our children. Okay? You know what I'm saying? So childcare is very
so
expensive. And of course, on the other hand, we don't want to cheapen out on childcare because we want quality care for our children. So in her case, she went looking for help for people to share babysitting duties with, for example.
Okay.
you know.
Okay. That's resourceful.
And then that led to something else and led to something else. And she realized that there was a problem with food. There's people weren't getting enough food because they didn't have the income. So she would go out and find donations for food. And a little bit by little, her organization grew, and they finally needed an office. And they were all single moms on the board back then.
Okay.
Created a board of directors, and then something happened where she was invited to apply for a grant. Now, grants could be something as simple as $100 from a grocery store.
Sure.
But it was all important. Every penny counted.
Yeah.
And so from there, it just kept getting a little bigger, and they started looking at the mental health issues, because it wasn't just about the diapers or the formula or, a stroller. It was also about how do we heal? How do we heal these primarily moms and some dads, as I mentioned? How do we get them so that they feel good about themselves again and they can go out and not feel like they're such a failure? Like, how do we help them to get a job? Do we provide wardrobe? Do we provide a resume building class where they are taught how to, put together a preliminary resume? I mean, some of these people have never even worked.
Yeah.
So where can they go to get insurance? Where can they talk to somebody about getting aid for, financial aid? So these are all directions that we've been examining and bringing in under our big umbrella. We may have 1,000 families all around us that are getting services in one way or another, and maybe 200 of those are active members.
I see.
And to explain what an active member is,
Yeah.
because this is something people don't always realize about our organization, is a scenario is that we have a parent come in, I really need help.
Yeah.
And we do an intake. Our program services director will do an intake, and we try to kind of preliminarily just define what their biggest issues are. So if they become a client, then they are granted sessions with a therapist, a counselor.
Okay.
And then that counselor will, again, go into identifying what their needs are. What is the biggest problem that this person is having? So once that's identified, then we can pull together resources for them. And the resources will include some of those workshops and classes, and will include referrals to other organizations that can help them. So by the time they're kind of through that program, they have a direction. They feel better. They get vouchers to our clothing closet for free, so they can come in and get probably, I think it's 8 items a month for themselves and their children.
A month?
Yeah.
Wow.
And these
that's
are
great.
new and gently used clothing. So if they say
Okay.
they have an interview coming up,
Sure.
or their kids grew out of their jeans.
Like they do about every 3 or 4 weeks, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's our Shop the Closet program. So
Great.
so my point is that once you're a client, then you become eligible for these benefits.
Okay.
We also have a donation day where they come to the parking lot and we set up tables and they walk along. And if they are clients, then they can get big bags of diapers. They might get a high chair, they might get a stroller, they might get a car seat. And these are the benefits of being a client of our organization. Last month alone, we took in 178 new intakes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. So you are serving quite a
we have a big
quite a
population.
group. Yeah. Yeah. So you talked about clients. What are the requirements? You mentioned, by the way, I'm speaking with Pam Ripling. She is the board secretary for the Single Mothers Outreach, but also reaching out to single dads as well. So what are the requirements for somebody to receive the services that y'all offer?
They need to be a single parent, live in the Santa Clarita area.
Okay, that's simple.
It's very, very simple.
Okay, and so if someone's listening and thinking, gosh, this really is a struggle, and I never really thought of reaching out, never knew there was a group that could support me.
Yes.
I'm just a dad out here or a mom out here doing it on my own, and could really use some of the services or just someone to connect with. What's the first step? Where do they go? What do they do? How do they become a client?
They can call our office or they can go to our website and fill out an application.
Okay.
It's very, very simple. We have a staff of Spanish-speaking
Oh, great.
individuals that can help them through it because we do have a number of bilingual or Spanish-speaking clients. We also provide them with, forgot to mention, I was talking about the classes, is that we have an ESL class they can take as well.
Oh, great.
That's what, I was just bringing that up.
Yeah.
That we have. And that class is actually in collaboration with College of the Canyons.
Great.
So this is a really wonderful new thing we've got going. And the college actually sends their instructors to our facility.
Oh, wow.
So we have a classroom in our building. And that way the moms can not feel so intimidated. Now, I was an adult. I was a late enrollee at COC myself, okay? So a senior student. And it was very intimidating for just me to go on the campus and sit down with all those young people.
Sure.
So can you imagine if you're a single mom who doesn't even speak English and you have little children, how are you going to get on that campus and how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
But they're coming to us where they feel comfortable. Our building is a home for them. We have a playroom for the children so they can play
nice.
while the mom is in the class. And the COC is teaching ESL and also computer skills.
Wow. That is fantastic.
And they're
Our friends
getting-
at COC do so much in the community.
Yes.
That is
And they're
is
getting
great.
college units for it.
Okay. Okay. So you mentioned you're providing not only services, but diapers, formula, car seats, clothing. Pam, where does your funding come from?
Very good question.
Thank you.
So I'll back up a little and say that in the nonprofit world, ideally, if you're looking at your revenue, you're going to want to divide up where you're getting your money into 3 areas. So corporate and individual sponsorships should take up about a third of that.
Okay.
Grants should hopefully take up about a third of that.
Yeah.
And then the last third will be from events.
Okay.
Okay, so we are very fortunate that we have our executive director, Yeleni Sapp, is a wonderful grant writer. She's been able to get us some very good grants. We do have some corporate partners out there. Not a lot, not as many as we'd love.
Okay.
But, money's donor pool is very small here in Santa Clarita with 300 some charities and
Yeah. Yeah, we do have a lot
We
of
have a lot.
of charities, but we also have a very generous community that we
Yes.
live in, and I can't help but think there's a business owner or a CEO somewhere thinking I need to be more involved in the community. And if that's you, you are correct. You do need to be more involved. You do need to support an organization. Reach out to Single Mothers Outreach. You mentioned the website,
Yes.
singlemothersoutreach.org. Super simple.
Yep.
Singlemothersoutreach.org. So can businesses reach out and just say, hey, I want to
Absolutely.
support you? Okay.
Absolutely. And we recently moved into a new building. And
Okay.
one of the things we love to do right now is to give people tours.
Okay.
So anybody that's remotely interested, and they don't have to be a donor, they could just be an interested person who wants to see our facility.
All right.
But it's nice. You can see our therapy rooms, our children's classroom, our shop the closet area where all the clothes are. It's a wonderful, wonderful facility. We were so fortunate to fall into that. We had made a 5-year plan to buy a building, and this building came up within 6 months. And we bought it, and that was in 23. And we're just now finally getting it where we want it to be.
Wow.
So people come in for a tour,
Yeah.
and then they say, wow, I need to help you out because this is
Yes.
so fabulous.
Yeah, it's an incredible mission, and like you said, the single parent community is huge and unfortunately growing. But folks doing great things supporting their kids, and you're doing amazing things supporting them. You talked about how a third of your money should come from events. And I know you've
Yes.
got one coming up. I
We
do want
do.
to talk about that in just a little bit. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll talk all about a fun event that the Single Mothers Outreach is throwing for single moms, single dads. You can be part of the party as well. Stick around. I am Matt Watson. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. You're listening to your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I'm joined this morning by Pam Ripling, Board Secretary of the Santa Clarita Single Mothers Outreach, serving single parents, moms, and dads throughout the Santa Clarita Valley. If you weren't listening to last break, one, where the heck you been? But two, in order to qualify for services from the Single Mothers Outreach, the only thing you need is to be a single parent, mom or dad, and to live in the Santa Clarita Valley. That is it. And they're providing all different kinds of services, from counseling to products, diapers, resources, yes,
Referrals.
helping with writing resumes, classes, whether it's business related to English classes, all kinds of services serving single parents throughout Santa Clarita. And Pam, I mentioned you've got an event coming up. Before we get to the event, I just wanted to ask. I love a good story, and data is really important when you share how many folks you're serving in how many ways. But it's the stories that really touch people's hearts without divulging anybody's, speaking out of school, as it were. Do you have a story or two that you could share that just kind of exemplifies what it is that the Single Mothers Outreach is doing in our community?
Absolutely. Some of the stories are heartbreaking, and some of them are heartwarming. It depends on the story. We did have a recent member, if you will, who was a young teen, and by virtue of the fact that we're Single Mothers Outreach, she was a mom, a very young teen with an infant. She was rescued from trafficking.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, and and I will be candid enough to say that I'm sure that the child was a result of that experience that she had. She was rescued and referred to us, and not only us, obviously there were some other organizations involved, but we were in the loop on that one, and it's just a really heartbreaking thing, but we also are enthused to be able to bring her up, to give her a hand up and out of that world that she was in. We also had a story that is really close to my heart. We had a young woman come to us. She was referred to us by someone who said, "Hey, you need to go take a look at Single Mothers Outreach. They can help you." This woman was a victim of domestic violence. She was kicked out of her home. She had a 6-year-old child, and she was 9 months pregnant.
Wow.
And this was at Christmas time. And so she came knocking, and we were able to quickly board and staff together to get her a place to land. Found her a room at a shelter, and she went in and relaxed, and then 10 minutes later she called and she was in labor. So everybody got right back up and went
Yeah.
out and got her to the hospital, got her a car seat, and got her taken care of. And she is the epitome of what we do. Her story.
Yeah.
And it was Christmas. It was Christmas
Yeah,
Eve.
it's the stuff that Hallmark specials are made of.
Yeah,
Oh
really.
my
It
gosh.
sounds like a contrived story, but it was real.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah,
And that's just an example.
yeah,
you
sure.
know.
And unfortunately, that kind of stuff happens all too often. And so we're so fortunate that you're there to help folks that are
Yeah.
going through those things. And again, folks may be listening and saying, "Oh, well, my situation's not that extreme. I'm okay."
No, but
Yeah, no, you've got a community there that's willing to help you and has the resources. Reach out.
yeah, never
It's
say that
yeah.
you're not ready or you're
Yeah.
not eligible, or you're not worthy for some
Yeah.
reason, because everyone is worthy.
Sure.
And if the help is here, then you should take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's like having a sink at home and being thirsty, but saying, "No, I don't really need water that bad. I'm not going to turn it on." No, no, no. Access the resources that you have. And so you mentioned before the commercial break that your funding comes from three sources.
Yes.
You've got private donations support, whether it's corporate or individual, and then you write some grants.
Yep.
But then about a third of your funding comes from fundraisers, and you've got a great one coming up as you're celebrating an anniversary.
Yep.
Can you tell us about this event you've got going on? It's
I
called
can't
Cheers to
wait.
30 Years.
I can't wait to tell you.
All right, please.
So, just a little bit of background. For many, many years, we have had our signature fundraiser has been Empowering Hearts.
Okay.
Okay, and Empowering Hearts was created to bring art and charity together. We had nominees, honorees, and we would pair those individuals, and these are people with stories and inspiring stories. We would pair them with an artist, and the artist would do a piece of art and based on their story, and then we'd have sort of a little competition and a gala dinner to reveal who won.
Okay.
And it was a beautiful event, and it's been going on for a long time. But when we decided that 30 years was nothing to sneeze at,
No, that's
we
an
decided
important
this year
milestone.
we would celebrate that milestone and create an event called Cheers to 30 Years. And we will be using this event as our opportunity to look back and pay homage to those years, to pay homage to Empowering Hearts and the community that we've been serving, and then to take a look ahead at the future and see what's in store for Single Mothers Outreach. But by and large, we really wanted to have a fun event because I'm looking around and I'm seeing what the other events are around our town and what are the most successful events. And there's a balance between presenting your mission and also allowing people to just have fun.
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
yeah.
And you have to strike that balance. It can't be like all ho-hum and drum and,
Sure.
gloom and doom and too much mission is put people to sleep, to be quite honest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you also are just nothing but party, then people are saying, well, what are you here for?
Right.
Why am I giving you this money?
Well, yeah, and
know,
folks need to connect
They need
with
to
your
connect.
mission. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're endeavoring to do this year with the Cheers to 30 Years. The event itself will be at Sand Canyon Country Club.
Oh boy, great venue.
Great venue, beautiful room,
Yeah.
and it'll be sort of a three-part event. We're going to have a cocktail hour at the beginning,
All right.
which will be kind of a fun party atmosphere. We'll have a magician, a live jazz quartet, photographers. We have an artist that's going to be doing digital art that you can watch as she's painting on the screen.
Oh wow.
So that's an art element that refers back to our Empowering Hearts times.
Yeah.
We're going to have a tequila tasting on a patio.
Oh, nice.
And
Nice.
that'll
Loosen up
be
the wallets a little bit.
yeah, that'll be really fun too. Beautiful auction, live auction, some big items, and the second part will be the actual program, and it won't be too long, but we will get up and talk a little bit about our history. We have a slideshow of our old locations and events. And we will ask everyone who has been involved in Empowering Hearts to stand and be recognized because they're all invited.
Okay.
And then at the end, we're just going to have dancing with the DJ.
I love it.
People that want to stay and boogie and hang out and
Absolutely love it. So let's reset it. So it's at Sand Canyon Country Club. What is the date and time?
so it's a week from tonight,
A
May
week
9th,
from tonight. Okay.
7 p.m.
Friday night. Perfect
Yep.
time. May 9th, 7 p.m., Sand Canyon Country
Yes.
Club. Where do people get tickets?
Well, the best place to go is our website.
Okay.
Now, if you know any of our board members, you can ask them and they'll help you out. But singlemothersoutreach.org/cheers. Very, very simple.
Very
/
simple.
cheers. You can go in there, you can buy tickets. You can make donations. You can buy the ticket to the optional tequila tasting, it is a separate ticket for that.
Okay.
We're not doing a VIP ticket, but for $30 more, you can get the tequila tasting, and you also get a raffle ticket basket, or basket for a ticket for a basket,
So you get
and
tequila
extra
and tickets.
Yes,
Fantastic.
yes, absolutely. We're so excited
Fantastic.
about this.
Yeah.
And you'll like this, Matt. We're going to have a trivia element to this.
Oh, I do love me some trivia.
Okay, so 1995.
Oh.
And we will have
That's
trivia
my
cards on the
wheelhouse.
tables.
All right.
We're going to have, that way you have an icebreaker. If you come in, you sit down with maybe somebody at the table you don't know that well, you can read the questions to each other. Easy one is, who was president in 1995?
Okay.
Anybody? Yes,
Jen, what do you
no?
got? Is that Bill Clinton?
Ding, ding.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Bill Clinton. So that's a very simple one.
Yeah.
But also things like, Buzz and Woody were born that year.
Okay. All right.
eBay started that year.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and Amazon sold its first book.
Yeah, I remember when Amazon sold books. They were just a bookstore.
So there's a lot of little trivia.
Okay.
For the deadheads out there, we lost Jerry Garcia that year.
Yeah.
That was a
yeah.
big one. And Santa Clarita was recovering from the earthquake still in 1995.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
were still building and repairing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we
that's
were.
just a little taste. There will be
Okay.
things like how much was bread and what was the top movie. And so our
that'll be fun.
MC, Ed, will be actually, in between breaks, he'll be saying, hey, anybody wants to know, eggs
Okay.
were blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a trivia element there.
Fantastic. So, again, cheers to 30 years
Yes.
supporting the Single Mothers Outreach. It is Friday, May 9th. What a great way to end a week, right? Power down. And, like I said, Santa Clarita is a generous community. They love to give, but we also like a good party. And
And bring your mom. It's Mother's Day weekend.
hey, perfect.
And that wasn't an accident.
I can imagine it
Mother's
wasn't.
Day weekend is now
There we
our
go.
weekend.
Mother's Day weekend, yeah. Bring your mom and get out there for an extra $30. You can get a ticket for the raffle and do a little tequila tasting. But you're gonna have a jazz band. You're gonna have a DJ for
Yep.
dancing after as the event closes. You're also gonna have a magician there.
Yeah.
Magicians are so much fun.
Yeah.
So that's worth the price of admission right there. And
Yeah.
then you said live auction.
A live auction as well.
Fantastic.
And,
any idea of some of the exciting auction items?
I'm
going
going to give, I'll give you one
okay.
of them
All
here. We have a young woman, and this is a lovely story. She was a client as a child. So her mom was one of our members, and Single Mothers Outreach really helped to raise her and influenced her. She came back to us as an adult and wanted to help because of all of that. She happens to be a deputy sheriff with LASD. And she has recently joined our board. Her name is Marissa Rodriguez.
Okay.
She is based in Norwalk, but she's very good friends with the group out here, our local station.
All right.
So her auction item is a tour of the station
Nice.
and a ride-along.
Oh, okay.
It's called A Cop for a Day,
Nice.
Cruise the Mean Streets of SCV
Okay.
with Detective Rodriguez.
Fantastic.
So she's going to be taking people around, or a person,
Okay.
a winner around, and of course, the surprise at the end is that they get a dozen donuts. So,
Of course, no ride along would be complete without a donut.
so that's going to
fantastic.
be one of our ones. We have a B&B. We have some tickets. We have some a big wine class being put on by Total Wine. That's going to
Oh,
be
wow.
one of our live auctions.
Fantastic. So
Yeah.
some great auction items, live jazz, champagne reception,
Yep.
hors d'oeuvres, desserts, dancing, tequila tasting, close-up magic. If you've never seen a close-up magician, it's not like the magic you see on TV. It'll boggle your mind. And then you mentioned a digital artist and exclusive photo opportunities. It is going to be a phenomenal shindig. Well worth the price, and then all that money goes to support the amazing work that Pam and her colleagues are doing with Single Mothers Outreach. So folks, get those tickets on the website, singlemothersoutreach.org.
Sponsorships are still available as well.
I was going to ask that.
Okay, yeah.
All
Starting
right.
at just $500.
See, there's a great way to get the name of your business out there, doing great things. But I know business is tight right now. $500 is nothing. Come on.
Yeah.
You can get out there and support Single Mothers Outreach. Okay, I can't help but think, because, people always tell me once we finish the show, oh, Matt, that event sounds so cool, but I can't make it. I'm going to be out of town, or I'm booked, or, can't find a babysitter, or, whatever.
Happens.
It does. Life is complicated. So if folks have fallen in love with your organization, aren't able to attend the event, are they still able to support Single Mothers Outreach?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, any donation is so greatly appreciated, and it really goes to a good place. And again, I would invite the community to please come out and visit us, because once you see what we're doing and you see our interns that are providing the counseling, you see the moms in the classroom learning English, you see the children playing in our beautiful little playroom, you just get a feeling that, like, well, this is a really valid place to put my donation, because it's there. You just see it. It's real. It's live. You see the results of it, and we have some great stories of that you can learn by taking the tour of some of our successful moms and dads that have gone on to become so successful that they come back to us as volunteers, or in Marissa's case, as a board member.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing. So you mentioned the best way for folks to get started, whether they're looking to donate, to buy tickets to Cheers to 30 Years, next Friday, May 9th at 7 p.m. at Sand Canyon Country Club. Or if they are a single mom or a single dad that needs to get connected and could use your support, best place to start is your website, singlemothersoutreach.org. But where's your physical location at?
We are located on Smythe Drive.
Center of town. Perfect.
Center of town, down there. And we're just down the street from the Cube and Valencia High School. So if you just go towards the Walmart down there, we're almost to the end. And we have a 2-story building, very easy to find, lots of parking. You can come in any day, Monday through Friday. Friday we are more quiet. We have less staff. We don't have classes on Friday.
Okay.
Or you can call our phone, call our office and talk to someone. And again, as I mentioned, we have Spanish speakers available.
Fantastic.
That phone number is 661-288-0117.
288-0117.
Correct.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, a great place to start, whether you're looking to donate, buy tickets for the event, or you need some services yourself. singlemothersoutreach.org. Pam Ripling, Board Secretary of the Santa Clarita Single Mothers Outreach, serving single moms, single dads throughout Santa Clarita. Pam, y'all are doing such great work, and I want to thank you so much for it. I do have one more question for you, and I don't mean to get too personal, but do you have any siblings? Do you have a brother or a sister?
I do.
Okay. Did growing up, did mom ever make you share things with your siblings?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I'm
Bedroom?
bedroom,
Clothing,
shoes, toys, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm in my 50s now, and I shouldn't have to share. But mom makes me share my radio show with my stupid big brother.
Oh,
And
no.
so, yeah.
I'm sorry.
So we're trying to close out the show, but mom's texting, and she's leave time for your brother. Leave time for your brother. So yeah, my big brother's going to be calling in. He's got trivia questions and some questionable life advice and things like that for us. Can you stick around and maybe just support me a little bit while we humor my brother?
You can twist my arm.
Okay, fantastic. Big T will join us when we get back. You can play along too. Stick around. I am Matt Watson. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and I'm joined this morning by Pam Ripling, Board Secretary of the Single Mothers Outreach of Santa Clarita. They are serving the needs of single moms and single dads throughout our community, doing such great work. And, it is now, and this is the part of the show where I say it is now time for Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. Jen, we've been doing this for 6 years with Tony, and I mentioned in his intro that he's an executive and a philanthropist. He's a busy guy. He's running a company up in the Pacific Northwest, but somehow he sets aside 15 minutes every day to call, or every Friday to call into the show. But Big T's handling his business today, and he wasn't able to call in.
Can we just say that he flaked? Nah. Let's not give him the credit of actually having to attend to his real job.
So Pam, Big T has rubbed Jen the wrong way.
It's
over the
his
last few
terrible
weeks.
life advice that he gives me. Yeah.
He gives some life advice that just, I think Jen dislocated an eyeball last week. But
The eye roll was strong, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so Jen's calling him a flake. I'm saying that business called Big T away. But file this under the category of best guest ever. During the commercial break, when Big T texted and said, I'm not going to be able to make it, Pam Ripling, board secretary for Single Mothers Outreach, says, Big T, no sweat. I got you, brother.
I
She's
got it
stepping
covered.
in as quizmaster.
I am.
All right.
Okay.
Pam, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you.
Alrighty.
Now, Big T likes to start with a fun fact or life advice. Do you have a fun fact or life advice that you want to start with before you get to the trivia?
I would say life advice is don't bail on your brother.
Pam, you are so much better at life tips than Big T is.
Listen
Don't
to your
bail on your
mom
brother.
and
not
don't
wrong.
bail on your brother.
Listen to mom and don't bail on your brother. You better believe when I get off the air, I'm telling on him. I am definitely telling on him. Okay, Pam, I know you're in charge, but I do need to explain the rules because
Okay.
Jen and I are going to start getting a little crazy here. You've got questions already ready. This is so serendipitous. So when we start, you're going to go ahead and throw out the questions. And what Jen and I are going to do, we're going to hit our buzzers like we should. You're looking around, you don't see any buzzers.
Okay.
We just call out our name.
Virtual buzzer.
Yeah, we
Virtual,
we
okay.
call out our name. Jen, this is
Okay.
going to be hard for me because today I'm going by Matt. Normally when Tony
Why?
calls in, I'm Frogger. And no one knows why. So we'll just go with Matt today.
Okay.
And so we'll call out our name, and then Pam, you're going to have to play judge and determine who buzzed in first.
Oh, gosh,
And then
okay.
you'll acknowledge us, and then we'll give the answer, and I will keep score. Now, the folks that play along at home, they do have an advantage. In that they don't have to hit their buzzer. They can just shout out the answer and try to beat Jen and I. Yeah, although I don't know that anybody at home has ever beaten us because, Pam, Jen and I are pretty smart
I see that.
and humble.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so we got a few minutes.
Okay.
Pam, let's go ahead and do it.
All right, so let's start with some 1995 trivia because that's what I brought with me today.
Fantastic. 1995 was the year that Single Mothers Outreach was founded.
Yeah.
Celebrating their cheers to 30 years. Get tickets at singlemothersoutreach.org.
Okay, so there's some general knowledge here, and some of it is, we'll just get to the question. Who was the richest man of the world in 1995?
Jen. I'm making a guess here. Sam Walton.
Matt, I'm going to go Bill Gates.
You're going to go Bill Gates, and you would be right.
Woo! All right, look at that. And she brought her own
She
sound
has
effects.
sound effects. I
This
like
is
it.
Fantastic.
Of course. Okay.
I'm gonna fire Big T here.
All right. What was the cost of a Super Bowl ad back in 1995?
1995. That's a good
Yeah.
question. Matt, I'm going to go $250,000 for a 30-second spot.
You aren't even close.
Jen, what do you got?
I'll say 850,000.
Pretty low. We go back to
Jeez.
Matt.
$1.5 million.
Better.
Wow.
A little bit lower than that, but you're close.
Okay, this
Wow.
was 30 years ago. How
Even
much
back
was
then.
$1,150,000.
it? $1,150,000.
So can you imagine what they are today?
Yeah, yeah.
That's not even.
Out of control.
That's not even. Okay. Here's a good one. What was the most popular baby name for boys?
In 1995.
I'll take a guess.
Okay.
Connor.
Good guess,
Oh.
but no cigar.
Okay. Tanner.
Nope. And this is a name that has been a popular name over and over and over again.
All right. So
Well,
Very
like the
common
90s
name.
is when they kind of got away from the more traditional Matt, Mike, John, those types of names. And they did get into the Tanners and Connors.
right, and Skylar's and
Skylar.
Yeah. Yeah, no points, but I'm going to go David.
Still close, but no cigar. My husband's name, Michael.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a classic one.
How hard is that? But still. Okay, and now here's a good one. What was the world population?
Oh, jeez.
Ooh, Matt. I'm going to go 6.5 billion.
6.5 billion is a little bit high.
Oh,
Let's try 4.5 1.2 billion.
You're both about equal distance here. You're low. He
Meet
was high.
somewhere in the
Okay, so
middle.
is it 5 billion?
5 billion
All right.
to 5.2 actually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. How are we doing? Are we doing okay?
We're good on
Well,
time.
we're-
Oh, score-wise or
yeah,
time-wise?
it's 1-0. Yeah.
Okay. Now on this next one, if you want me to, I can give you 4 choices and you can tell me which one you think it is.
Oh, all right. You got to be patient, Jen. Let's
All right.
get all 4 of them out
All
there.
right.
Time Magazine's Person of the Year for 1995. Oh. I can give you the choices or you can just try and guess.
Oh, I would say let's do choices on this one.
All right.
Okay.
I have a guess, but
A. Willie Brandt. B. Ronald Reagan. C. Jimmy Carter. And D. Newt Gingrich.
that just got hard.
I have a guess.
Go ahead.
D. Newt Gingrich.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh,
ding, ding,
nice.
ding, ding. Interesting, huh?
I don't know why I was led to that, but yes.
And
Yeah,
the-
remember when he
Yes.
was going to take over the world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't really know who he was now these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Okay.
named after a lizard.
Ni- This is from the category of music from 1995.
All right. Here we go.
Okay. Who can name the artist who did the theme song from Batman Forever?
Jen.
Oh,
Prince.
Matt.
Eh.
Seal.
Ooh.
Ding, ding, ding.
Woohoo,
And what was the name of the
right.
song for extra points?
Kiss from a Rose.
Yeah, dude. Okay.
Love that song.
Oh, I hate it.
Oh, you can't. You hate that song.
I can't get my finger to the button fast
Oh,
enough.
my
when-
Lord. Oh, that's a great song.
I know.
Can I come back and do this every day? I mean,
Absolutely.
this is
Yes,
well, I'll
you're
be your
so much
backup.
better than Tony.
I'll be your backup for Tony. Tony, if you're listening, your job is
You're
on
out.
the line.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a Price is Right question. Okay,
All right.
anybody? What was a postage stamp cost?
Oh, Matt. 32 cents.
Eh.
I think I'm a little high.
You're
I
a little
think you're a
high.
little high. I would say closer to like 24 cents.
Still a little high, but you're close.
Oh.
22 cents.
Okay.
Yeah, you got close. Yeah. Okay, here's one that's going to thrill the listeners.
Uh-oh.
Gallon of gas.
Oh, Matt.
Jen, go ahead.
I'm going to say,
Per gallon.
is this nationwide or right here in beautiful sunny Southern
It's
California?
probably nationwide.
Okay, then I'm going to go $1.50.
Ooh, close.
Oh.
A little high. A little bit high.
Oh, a little bit high. My guess is going to be 98 cents.
You're low.
Okay.
Yeah. $1.15.
$1.15. Yeah, not in
Imagine.
Southern California. I do remember when I moved up here in 1980, there was a gas station right over here on Sierra Highway, and I did a double take because gas was only $1 there in 1980.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa, that's so low. But yeah, we always pay through the nose here in California.
No, we have all those extra add-ons too for our,
boy.
our environment.
boy.
One more Price is Right, and this is another one that's going to hit home with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Price of a dozen eggs.
Ooh, Jen. $2.50.
High,
Yeah, I'm going to go $1.50.
high.
Oh,
Jeez.
wow.
Let's
Back
go
to Jen.
back. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right?
Back to Jen. You got to want to guess again.
$1.50 was too high?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. $1.10.
Still high.
Wow.
Wow. It was less than $1?
Less than $1.
Wow.
92 cents.
Crazy. And nowadays I hear that the Department of the Treasury is thinking about putting our money on the egg standard. Yeah.
Fort Knox is full of grade
Chickens,
A.
yeah.
Okay.
All righty. What else
Okay,
you
you
got
ready
here,
for
Pam?
another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not doing very well, Jen.
No, we're not.
Well, these are hard.
These are tough ones. Yeah, yeah.
These are hard ones. Let's see if I can come up with an easy one for you. Let's see here. I already asked you who the president was. I mean, we gave you that one away. So,
Yeah.
how about the average new home price?
Ooh, in 1995, Matt, $200,000.
That's high.
That's high. I lived in Southern California. Yeah.
Yeah, probably would,
Yeah.
probably should qualify that
Yeah.
by saying nationwide.
Yeah.
Probably
Oh gosh. 85,000.
that would be low. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm coming from the
Yeah,
Midwest.
nationwide. it was
we had
pri-
cheap
right,
stuff
right,
there.
right.
Yeah.
That's funny. Probably about 100,000 then. Yeah.
Yeah, a little more. 115.
Okay.
Oh, I see the board's lighting up with all the realtors are calling in right now.
Rich is out
Well,
there.
Rich is out. Yeah, yeah.
shaking his head at us.
We've got Rich coming in to talk real estate in just a minute. So, you know what? As a matter of fact, I think we're going to need to pull the plug there, Pam, and put Jen and I out of our misery. Between the two of us, we only got 3 questions right.
You did great. Come on.
Thanks so much for coming by.
Oh,
and
my
thanks for
pleasure.
saving my brother's bacon. Oh, boy, I would have never let him
bacon?
live it down. How much was bacon in 1995?
$1.99.
$1.99 for bacon. Oh, those were the days.
Well, you saved it. Okay.
Anyways, I do want to thank our guests, dancer, author, educator, advocate Meredith Harper-Houston, Pam Ripling, Board Secretary of Santa Clarita Single Mothers Outreach. Thank you, producer Sarah. Thank you, engineer Jen. And thank you for listening. Remember, friends, life is hard, but we're all here to help each other along. Be well, do good, and have a great weekend. Join us next Friday and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson. This is SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.